The shackles have finally come off. Shigaraki has officially moved on from his past and has become a supervillain. I think after this 3-part origin story we've gotten for him, I definitely say that he's shaping up to be a really good in-game villain. When we look at his power scaling now, and what he's capable of, I don't think anyone's going to be too worried now if he can put up a fight against Izuku. Because this was a worry that many were kind of talking about when it was revealed Izuku was going to have multiple quirks, because One For All had a bunch of quirks tied within it. Many are like, how is Shigaraki supposed to fight something like that? I mean, many were saying, well, he's probably going to get All For One, and that's going to even the scales, which is still likely to happen. Seeing what he did within this chapter is good indication that we don't really have to worry about that anymore, at least in the scaling of their battle power. Because Shigaraki just demonstrated that his quirk, without any upgrades, like without even All For One helping, his quirk is on the level to where he could probably be able to deal with anything Izuku brought towards him. Like anything that Izuku shot at him or anything, he would be able to deal with. Because that is one of the big things that we can clearly see that he's capable of doing now. Because he stopped Redestro's Stress Bomb. 100% Stress Bomb in this chapter. Now, that's the crazy part, because this means that Redestro is pretty much going all out without enhanced equipment. Without equipment helping him out, he was going all in, and Shigaraki, not being physically strong like Redestro, just grabbed his blast and disintegrated it, which meant that no matter what you throw at Shigaraki, as long as he's able to grab it or just be able to touch it, then it breaks. So, because of that, if Izuku hypothetically was to use, like, you know, his wind, like if he uses air pressure and he kicks or whatever, hypothetically, Shigaraki could be able to break that. He could probably break the air that comes at him, and there's just nothing you can do. So, yeah, he's very scary. Right now, Shigaraki, I dare say that Izuku needs to figure out a few new moves to be even able to get near the man, because now knowing that he can just break attacks, yeah, it's going to be a lot harder bringing him down. He was already deadly as is, because if he laid his hand on you, you were done. But now knowing that he doesn't even really need to do that, and he could just have an AoE effect with his destruction, but also break your attacks, he's nigh untouchable. You would literally have to KO him instantly to get rid of him. So imagine when he actually gets All For One attached to him. Just think about that. When he finally does get All For One added to his arsenal of abilities, oh my god, like, yo, it's gonna be a scary, scary, scary fight. So, anyways, let's get into this chapter. So, this chapter is relatively short. Like, there really isn't a whole lot going on within this chapter. It's kind of just clarification to Shigaraki and him being liberated from everything, which is very fitting for, you know, the enemy he's fighting. When you think about it, he's fighting the, you know, the Meta Liberation Army, and they're trying to liberate, you know, meta abilities or quirks entirely to where people can finally use their abilities without restrictions. And because of that, that's kind of the entire theme of his organization. And when he's looking at Shigaraki throughout this chapter, he's like, why am I getting de-stressed? Like, why am I losing stress? And when he talks at the end with this little monologue, he's like, wait a minute, he's been liberated from everything. Like, here, I'll read the line actually for you. I have the line pulled up right here. It's a really good line. I think it's honestly one of the best lines of this arc, though, besides, you know, just one bad day. Past the pain, beyond this awakening, it's as if this man has been utterly liberated. Yes, what I'm feeling in my chest is, and then chapter ends. Basically saying that Shigaraki, he has been liberated as an individual. He no longer is bound by anything. He's no longer bound by his past. He's no longer bound by All For One. He's no longer bound by his duty as the leader of the League of Villains. All he wants now is to create the world of what he wants. Destroy the world, rip it down to its very foundations, and create it to what he actually wants from society. So, Shigaraki is a whole new man. That's kind of what that symbolized, and you could see that Destro noticed this. When he was looking into Shigaraki, he was just watching him, he noticed he finally changed as a person, and he definitely looked as someone that finally reached clarity in his mind. Which is kind of scary, really, because this shows a little side to Shigaraki that he's able to inspire people, which I think there might be a different type of ending to this arc than we actually realized. Let me talk about that. When you think about supervillains, when you think about villains in general in stories, sometimes villains work together. That's a big thing, especially supervillains sometimes. And since Shigaraki technically is going to become the ultimate villain, he's going to be the endgame villain, that means that he needs to be able to build up forces, to be able to inspire individuals. When you think about what All for One did, what did he do? Obviously, he manipulated people, but he inspired individuals to rally behind him. And when you think about the situation of this chapter, you see Destro and his reaction to Shigaraki, it looks very eerily similar to something like that. Like he's getting inspired, which is kind of like a spin on the shonen cliche, which I'll talk about that. As you know, in typical shonen, you have it where the main character, the hero, inspires people around him to follow him and join his side to help him out on his adventures. Like Izuku, a good example, he's inspired someone like Ochiko. So when you look at these little elements, this is common in the story. And if there's one thing that Horikoshi has shown us throughout the journey of My Hero Academia as a writer, is that he loves to kind of put a spin on it when it comes to the villains, like giving the villains like a friendship power-up or whatever. And when you see this moment with Shigaraki, you know, just looking at Destro looks at him, Destro's having, you know, in awe. Like, he's in awe. He's, like, he actually is growing fond of Shigaraki. And I feel like the way this arc is going to end is that Destro might join Shigaraki. It's very likely. It's very, very likely that he might join Shigaraki because his goal is even further beyond than what he wanted. See, he just wanted to liberate meta abilities. But Shigaraki, he wants to liberate people. He wants to liberate everything. And because of that, I think he inspires certain individuals, and at least inspires people like Destro's group to probably follow him. So I can definitely see that. I can definitely see Destro probably like, you know, I want you to be my leader or whatever, unless Shigaraki is just truly evil and just gets rid of him. Whatever may happen, though, I think it's going to be a very interesting outcome to Destro because we're reaching the conclusion of this arc very quickly. I say we only have maybe 2 chapters, maybe 3, until it kind of comes to an end. Which, by the way, let's talk about Gigan. Gigan obviously has entered the city. He's been in the city for like 2 chapters now, and he's kind of rushing over to Shigaraki, which as we know, when this arc began, Gigan is a massive threat, and he's technically not an ally of the League of Villains, or at least Shigaraki. He is disappointed in Shigaraki. He's disappointed in his master successor. And because of that, you know, we saw that fight that happened at the early stages of this arc. But now looking at this chapter, you see to where he cries out to Shigaraki. He's like, master successor. I mean, you just see his face getting a, you know, look of terror / shock, which basically states that he does care about Shigaraki. He doesn't want Shigaraki to come to any harm, which I feel like this says a lot. Because if you remember, Shigaraki was fighting Gigan for like a full month, for a long time. And after fighting this man for that long, even if Gigan wasn't going all out, I feel like Gigan might gain emotion for an individual. At least for someone like Shigaraki, he might have grown fond of him, and seeing him at risk potentially dying, he's scared, and that's why he's rushing over. But the reason why his face is probably shocked is because he's actually seeing the power that Shigaraki is capable of, and he's probably going to kneel before him and be like, I now accept you as my master, as, you know, the new All for One. I feel like that might happen. So Yeah, it's pretty interesting to see Gigan's character, kind of his little emotions and stuff, how he definitely does care in his own way, and he was just hiding it all along. Which, by the way, when you really look at, let's say, the Doctor and then Gigan, it's clear as day that they are on Shigaraki's side. They're wanting to help him out any way they can, because obviously if the Doctor didn't care about Shigaraki, he would not have woken up Gigan to rush over. We already know that. It's just obviously the League of Villains are unaware of this. So, because of that, we know the Doctor did help out any way he can, and he is trying to help out even if he can't necessarily go there. And so he's like, he has to overcome this trial and error to eventually become the new All for One. If he doesn't, then he can't, like, he's not meant to be. It's not possible. So they are testing him, but they are trying to help him out where they potentially can. So, once again, more shonen cliches, but on the villain's side. Now, one last thing I do want to talk about before I wrap up this video is definitely the artwork. If there's one thing that this arc has done really well, is that the artwork is insane. Like, it's beautiful. And this chapter is no exception. I really do love that image with Shigaraki and how he has, like, the tattered robe and all that. And you just see how his hair looks and stuff. It's a really beautiful panel. And Horikoshi's been going in constantly this arc. Like, all the panels, the artwork, it looks breathtaking. But just that panel alone, and then the panels throughout this chapter, especially with his facial reaction and all that, how he's liberated, just like Horikoshi really wanted to go in on Shigaraki's facial expressions and just show how different he is now. I appreciate that. The artwork is glorious and I want more of it. So I think that's about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.